Here you go.
That's it. Only Grace.
Are we allowed to draw on the windows here?
Certainly not. The people who did this were looking for trouble.
They were tracking something here. Terracycles, maybe?
They'd lost sync with Earth?
Or the spire lost power. I don't recognize these words. They look like technical or medical terms. A list of supplies, maybe.
Or a list of demands.
Hey, the tube system is no longer accepting wishes. If anyone knows how to reach Keeper Everett, please let him know.
Keeper Everett.
It sounds like keepers were spire caretakers.
When did Everett stay on this floor?
2955.
That's 20 years before this message was recorded.
So he stayed on after his visit and became a keeper? Why was there no record of that?
I would think answers lie at the other end of these vacuum tubes.
From what I can tell, the tube system runs through the central elevator shaft.
Logic? You gonna let us in, considering we know Everett was a keeper?
But do you know what a keeper is?
We'll need access to the elevator to learn more.
Ah, a classic paradox.
Logic.
Fine. If you're done snooping around, I will grant you access to the elevator.
Or you could uncover more canisters and learn more about the people who came here.
Reaching the beacon is the priority. You must move on. Logic will open the way to the beacon. You must go to the elevator.
Hold your horses.
I've been told that Grace is no longer receiving these messages, and the Keeper refuses to meet with any of the pilgrims. This is unacceptable. No human, Keeper or otherwise, is above Grace.
Now that's interesting. Wonder what that's about.
Here you go.
Perfect. Hey, what happened to the lights?
I believe Control has turned them off, Addie.
Not cool, boss. Control? Unbelievable. Look how beat up this is.
It must have been done in anger.
I believe fear also played a part here.
Why do you insist on defying me?
I'm just doing my job.
I've been instructed by Grace to make a wish. Not something big and altruistic, not for someone else, but for me. A real, honest wish, my heart's true desire. Honestly, this long flight to the middle of nowhere, months without my family, missing the harvest with a per diem that barely covers expenses, for what? Some mystical song and dance that makes us feel like we're somehow part of this robot theocracy. This whole thing, the temple, the hushed tones, the awe that people seem to show this place is ridiculous. My honest wish is to be left alone long enough to actually make some headway on the farm and pull in a decent crop.
It doesn't sound like everyone was happy to come here.
For Grace to understand what made people unhappy was just as important as knowing what made them content.
Doubt you'll ever get this message, Grace. We've been waiting weeks now. I hope Keeper Everett is okay. I I've been told his sermons are wonderful, and I hope you will be able to deliver the word of grace again soon. Make things work. I'd like you to know that we still love you and think about you. Great comfort to our family over the years. We've all made them for us. With your wisdom, you are missed.
So Grace would receive wishes and then leave people with instruction in the form of sermons. Could that really be all there was to it?
Ideas are powerful. Perhaps just returning with a more enlightened perspective was enough to move society toward common goals.
Highly unlikely. Grace must have had some control over planetary infrastructure, if she was to have had the influence you suspect. Here you go.
Great. Someone left a portrait.
I'm here, Grace. Najisha, she was so excited when I got the summons. We talked about this for months, who we could help, who was most deserving. She honestly believed we could come up with a wish that could make everything perfect. Thank you for choosing me. And thank you for letting me delay coming here. I want to be true to her memory, her wishes, her unlimited love for humanity. But my only wish, the only thought I have, is to have her back. I want her back.
There couldn't have actually been anything Grace could have done for her.
Grace allowed her to voice her grief.
So I've been thinking a lot, and I feel like, there's been peace for like centuries now, right? But I watch the old Halos, and there's wars, and bad guys, and pirates, and people who need saving, and it's exciting, right? And of course, it's awful, people dying, but I feel like there's no way to, prove yourself, Nothing to fix or protect. Does that make any sense? I just want something, anything at all, to happen. I guess that's what I wish for. Not like a war or anything, just something.
So this guy was just bored?
Like me.
I think this was the last room.
It is.
Finally. You're looking pretty smug.
What's the pattern?
Another easy one. Light the 4 corners of the pad. You really didn't need my help for this one. It would be a common pattern when guessing symbols.
I have to give you something to do, right? Look at all the vacuum tubes. Must be one in every room in the settlement. Keepers must have been busy.
It's what Grace does with the wishes that should interest us. Did you like my little game?
You mean the game where you refused to help us?
I provided you with the opportunity to prove yourself. Is that not why you're here?
I'm an archaeologist. I'm here to do my job.
I don't think Addie enjoys having obstacles placed in the way of her goals.
We have arrived at our destination.
The Spire pilgrims must have gathered here. To listen to the Keeper's sermons, I guess.
People will return here once the beacon is restored. Flock and shepherd will be reunited.
Wish canisters.
These have never been used.
For recording wishes, maybe. They look pretty banged up. Where is Grace? Well, I'm not alone in wondering.
I am here. It is the people who are lost.
Pilgrims were building fires. Why would they do that? Someone went through a lot of food. People were clearly sleeping here. They must have dragged this up from the settlement. Guessing they were here for a while.
Judging by bedding and volume of food containers, 5 to 10 people might have been here for over 20 days.
Quite the manifesto. I don't recognize the language.
I am embarrassed to say I do not recognize it either.
Well, they were here long enough to get bored. It must have been written with charcoal from the fires. Seems to be holding my weight. This must weigh a ton. At least a couple people worked together to break through here. So the Keeper must have stood here, addressed the visitors, gave his sermons. Can you imagine having the solar system coming to you for answers?
The Keeper was merely a vessel for the word of grace.
Then why not have Grace address them?
There is sometimes more power in what is imagined than in what is seen.
More camps. Another stage in the siege. Looks like the numbers really fell off here. Most gave up by now.
Or died.
No bodies yet. Death to Everett. Pretty clear who they blamed. This must be an attempted barricade. I'm guessing there was a lengthy siege. So, when Grace shut down, the Pilgrims blamed the Keeper. They demanded to see Grace, or thought they could reactivate her. The Keeper turned off the heat. Pilgrims built fires, dug in. They eventually got restless. Wish canisters started flying. As Pilgrims were breaking through the partition, the Keeper and his followers built up a barricade. We'll have to make our way through the barricade to learn how it ended. Can't make this out. (2766 to 2780). These dates are from the old Julian calendar, which makes them very old.
1,200 years, by all accounts.
Nothing here either. 2780 to 2830. I'm guessing these were the time periods that these keepers served here. This canister looks undamaged.
And it has been recorded on.
This has gone on long enough. There's nothing Keeper Everett can do to meet your demands. You must return to your ships now, or we will be forced to take more drastic measures.
So this was left for the angry Pilgrims.
What do you think more drastic measures were?
I don't know. But you might get to see that dead body. Second barricade. Looks like they got under this one. 2942 to 2956. This would mean keepers were at the spire for at least
444 years.
That sounds about right. Do we know where this goes?
To a funicular that leads to the next section of the spire.
Oxygen tanks. Everett upped the ante. Cut off life support here. Long live Grace.
Apparently not.
Oxygen is almost out. We are going to make one last push today before returning to the ships. Grace, help us. We will win.
Hold on, Addie. The room beyond the airlock is uncompressed. I don't believe it can be sealed. Something must have been compromised. You'll want your helmet on.
The tracks ahead lead to the highest point of the spire, known as the lighthouse.
Is that where we'll find Grace's processors?
Obviously.
You need only worry about the beacon, Addie.